Hey guys, it's Deborah. I wanted to talk to you guys a moment about the last trump and that we will be raised at the last trump. And this is a lot of post-tribbers, I guess, reasoning for us being at the being raised and resurrected, the rapture happening, the harpazo at the end of the tribulation, because it says the last trump, meaning like there's 7 trumpets blown. There's the seals, the bowls, the trumpets. And also because it's the last, it's at the end, so people would say this is at the end because we're raised at the last trump. I know that's not correct because the Lord showed me a long time ago that it is a series of blasts. And it's not the last trumpet to ever be blown in all of time. Like, we're going to be part of the Feast of Tabernacles in the millennial reign where there are trumpets blown and things like that. So just like there's, blessed are those who are part of the first resurrection. There's the first resurrection and the second resurrection. That's not the first of all time resurrections. It's the first in a sequence of 2 in the millennial reign. Just like the last trump is just the last blast in a sequence of blasts. That sounds whatever, but I've never really been able to explain it super well. I probably could have if I tried. I just didn't want to get into it. But I saw a video that really just captured me and was like, whoa, this is explaining it pretty good. And I should address it. And then I found out something else from another sister who showed me about this last trump, this other thing. She didn't show me, sorry, she made a video and I saw it. So I just wanted to share about this last trump, because it's kind of important for people who don't believe in a pre-tribulation rapture. It's kind of hard because they're like, it's the last trump. And then also there's something that I've talked about before with regards to a timeline called the last trump that the channel End Time Dream and Vision has. That's just a whole nother thing, but this is about the Bible verse talking about the last trump. So I just want to touch on that. I'm going to share a bit of the video that I saw that really captured me. And then, yeah, I think I'll just end it with the video that I saw. So I'm talking about this verse, 1 Corinthians 15:52-53. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. And it's talking about, obviously, the harpazo. At the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound. So I wonder if anybody finds it interesting that the word trump is there and not at the last trumpet. So the reason it's the last trump is because it's a sound. So when you look in Strong's what it means either a trumpet or the trump here, or it means the sound that a trumpet makes. Okay, so it's at the last blast in a series of blasts. When you hear the shofar blast, it's not like one, it's in usually a series of blasts. Like sometimes it'll be 7, like when they marched around Jericho or whatever. So we're going to go into some of the verses and some of the Strongs behind it because there's something kind of cool about it. Okay, so here in this verse right here, it says, for the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. So, and then we which are alive and remain will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we be forever with the Lord. So basically here you see the word trump again. So this is cool because it says with the trump of God. Okay, so we're going to be raised with the voice of the archangel, with the trump of God, and the trump of God. Now that word trump, when you look it up in Strong's, is phone, okay? So it means a voice, a sound, a noise, a voice, a language, or a dialect. This is the amazing thing of this, okay? We're going to be raised with, it's like God's voice, like his voice sounds like a trumpet. So I'll show you how that's kind of interesting, and how when we're raised at the last trump, it's like it's a blast, and it's like a voice or a language or a dialect. So when people are like, oh, we're just raised at the last trumpet in the series of the last, the trumpets and the bowls and the judges, we're just raised at the last one. No, it's like this really special sound that we're going to be raised by. So let's read this verse. It says, verse 50, Jesus, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost. So this is, sorry, I'll give you the context here. Basically, when Jesus was on the cross, it says Jesus, when he had cried again with a loud voice, he yielded up the ghost. Now that word voice So the way he gave up his ghost was with a loud voice while he was on the cross. So he yelled, okay? He gave out a loud sound, and he is God, Jesus. So his voice, what word do you think it is in Strong? With a loud voice when he gave up his ghost. Phone. It's the same word that we're going to be raised from. So the same thing that he yelled on the cross when he gave up his spirit is the same voice or sound that we will hear when we are called up with the trump. Okay, that same last trump is that same voice, noise, dialect language that we're going to hear when we get called up. I thought that was just cool. That's like a kind of side note thing. So just even more to show you that there's more to this last trump. It's not just like a trumpet blast. It's like his voice is going to call us up, okay? And where else do we see that? Revelation 4:1 says, after these things, I looked up. This is John, the revelator. I looked, and behold, a door standing open in heaven. And the first voice, which I heard, was like a trumpet speaking with me, saying, come up here, and I will show you the things which must take place after this. Isn't that cool that basically when John was lifted up, he heard a trumpet saying, come up here? How could the voice be a trumpet? It's the same. Okay. And it says, immediately I was in the spirit and beheld a throne. Okay. So he was up in heaven, let's say. So isn't that pretty cool? I thought that was really cool that when Jesus gave up the ghost, when he, I guess it's when the spirit left him, just like when our spirit is going to, I guess, come alive. I don't know, like, and our body's gonna be changed. So that's the last trump that I wanted to talk to you about when it comes to what it is. It's a noise, but it's like a voice. It's the voice of God, and it's the same when he cried out on the cross. So it's that same word, phone. So it's more than just this last trumpet in Revelation. It's a certain blast that we're gonna hear in what I believe is a series of blasts. Anyway, so basically, the point of the matter is we want to try to figure out a little bit more about this last trump. And so this video that I talked about, so like I said, first I just wanted to lay that out there, that it's pretty cool that it's more than just a trumpet. It's this voice of God, okay? It's not when he's just giving out the trumpet judgments, okay? Like this is the trumpet judgment or the bowl judgment or the seals or whatever. This is different. This is like him calling our spirit out of us, okay? And the last trump is not the last trumpet, okay? So anyway, so we're trying to like see what it even means. So when I saw this video, I thought it was really, really explained well. Enjoy this last little bit, and I hope you understand about the last trump, and that is not necessarily just talking about a trumpet. It's talking about the last sound, a noise. It's such a special noise in the series of trumpet blasts, and it's so special that it's the same one that Jesus used to cry out on the cross. It's the same word. So I thought that was important to establish. But anyway, enough of that. I will start up the video from Brother Michael. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it and understand what I'm trying to say here. So until next time, I'll talk to you again soon. God bless and shalom.
Cave, where I'm going to answer your Bible question. This is a painting I did a while back, back in the winter, about maybe 2-3 months ago. And here's what we're discussing is the book of Revelation, a painting I did many years ago. I'm going to be doing another one, by the way, a timeline painting of the book of Revelation, which is going to be even bigger. It'll take a while. Okay, we've been asked the question about the trump of God. What this has to do with is the view of the pre-wrath rapture. Like Rosenthal wrote a book years ago. I think he was Jews for Jesus or Israel My Glory or something. He was head of the magazine. I used to get the magazine, and he quit, resigned, and came up with this novel idea of a pre-wrath rapture. He did it because he lost his Bible and found several pieces of Bibles that were poor excuses for Bibles, and came up with a different doctrine. So I examined his writings very carefully. I didn't leave anything out. I studied it thoroughly, and found out that he was totally off base. So that's what we're talking about, is pre-wrath rapture, or which is supported by the idea that the Bible says that the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound and the dead in Christ shall rise first. Then in the book of Revelation you've got 7 trumpets. So when the 7th trumpet, which is not called the last trump, but it's called the 7th trumpet, when the 7th trumpet is sounded, they say, okay, that's the last of the seven, so that means that the rapture doesn't take place until after the seven trumpets. And so there is clearly in the book of Revelation, we'll show you the scripture, some wrath that takes place upon the nations, upon the people after the seventh trumpet. But there's also some wrath that takes place before the seven trumpets, the seventh trumpet. And so their idea is that the rapture cannot take place prior to the first trumpet, certainly not prior to the seventh trumpet. So it must be during the tribulation. It can't be pre-tribulational rapture. That is, the rapture can't take place here before this 7-year period. So they say that here's your trumpets right here. Here's your seventh trumpet in chapter 11 is blown. And so what they're saying is that the rapture takes place here at this point when the seventh trumpet is sounded. And that's going to be right toward the middle of the tribulation when that takes place, or it'll be on the backside of the tribulation anyhow. And so the idea is that then that must be the rapture, and they call that pre-wrath. The only problem is most of the wrath takes place after that trumpet is blown. This is the third woe right here, and then out of that comes the seven vials. The seven vials come underneath the seventh trumpet. Seventh trumpet blows, and that releases the seven vials. And then the seven vials have the most horrible, worst plagues taking place here. But prior to that, you've got the 144,000 being killed. You've got the wormwood star falling, polluting the waters, and you've got the sun becoming half put out, and moon not showing its light. Men begging God to die. You got fire falling from heaven. You got 1/3 of the trees and the green grass burned up. 1/3 of the oceans destroyed. You've got stars falling from heaven, lightning. You got people being decapitated by Antichrist. I mean, there's a whole host of things. You've even got these locusts being released here from the pit in chapter 9, and going out and stinging men, and men beg to die and they can't. I don't know how you could possibly have the rapture take place on the seventh trumpet and call that pre-wrath. That would be mid-wrath. That'd be a new doctrine. Probably somebody come up with that now that I've mentioned it. Mid-wrath rapture. Okay, let's look at it. Here is the most popular verse on the rapture. This is in 1 Thessalonians 4:13. He said, "Brethren, I would not have you be ignorant concerning them which are asleep," that's dead Christians. Most Christians sleep through church, "that you sorrow not even as others which have no hope. For we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Jesus." That's a term used, you should look it up in the Bible, for dead Christians. Their bodies are sleeping, their souls are not. They're present and conscious with Christ. I discussed that other places. "For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain on the earth alive, unto the coming of the Lord, shall not prevent," not be raptured out before the dead, "those which are asleep. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. So shall we evermore be with the Lord. Wherefore, comfort you one another with these words." In other words, if you're going through hard times in life, life is bitter, life is cruel, be comforted by the fact that when the Lord Jesus Christ comes back, that you're going to be raptured out, caught out from all this, and you will not go through the tribulation that's going to come on the earth to try all those that dwell upon the earth. He told them back during the church age. Now he said, "But of the times and seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write unto you, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord cometh as a thief in the night." No way of predicting it, no way of expecting it. Now, if all of these events right here occurred before the seventh trumpet, which they are, and you see the white horse rider of the Antichrist, you see death sweeping the earth, you see famine destroying all the crops, you see blood from war, many people being killed, you see people getting the mark of the beast being decapitated. The moon turns and becomes totally black as sackcloth of hair. The moon turns into blood. And you see 1/3 of the trees of the earth being burned up by a star falls from heaven, the ships destroyed, 1/3 of the ships in the sea die, and 1/3 of the sea is polluted, destroyed. Wormwood. If you see those things taking place, you can say, okay, trumpet 1, trumpet 2, trumpet 3, trumpet 4, trumpet 5, okay, 6, there it is. Okay. Just like the Bible said, all right, here it is. Christ is coming back, get ready. I mean, who wouldn't know? You got a clear pattern here revealed. But he said the rapture will take place and no one will know. Then sudden destruction cometh upon them, and travail upon them with child, they shall not escape. Sudden destruction upon them, not the church. It's upon them. Them, not us. Sudden destruction upon them. And we shall, he said, okay, now here's a passage that goes with that. This is 1 Corinthians 15. These two passages together is where this question about the trump of God, the last trump, comes into play. 1 Corinthians 15:55, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep. That means we'll not all be dead at the time of the rapture of the church. We'll not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. This second coming is not in a moment. The Bible describes that the kings of the earth see the things coming on the earth, and they see Christ coming back, and the armies gather together in the valley of Megiddo to defend that piece of territory, Israel, against Jesus Christ coming back to sit on the throne. So CNN will be rallying, and British Broadcasting will be rallying, and probably Fox News too, the troops to get together and support the military, support our men in arms. Let's prevent this assault upon our planet from this man, and they will gather together and bring all their best weaponry to defend Israel against the coming of the Lord Jesus Christ, because they'll see that's actually going to take 45 days for his second coming to take place from the time they become aware of it until he gets back. So that event cannot be confused with this event. You conflate those two and you've got absolute nonsense. You've got the Bible saying, twinkling of an eye, pop, is coming, it's gone. No one knew. And then you got it with all these detailed descriptions. But so that event cannot be confused with this event. You conflate those two and you've got absolute nonsense. You've got the Bible saying, twinkling of an eye, pop, is coming, it's gone. No one knew. And then you got it with all these detailed descriptions. But the question remains, what about the last trump? For the trumpet shall sound. You know what most people don't do is what most people do is they get their Bible knowledge and their news from internet, from social media. Pop ideas circle around, and they get them from some book that someone wrote, like I write books. And so people will read those books, or they'll go and they'll listen to one preacher, and some idea strikes their fancy, and they attach onto it, but they're placing faith in the man. I don't want you placing faith in me. I try to turn you to the Bible. If you come up with an idea different from mine because you're a Bible student, I will discuss it with you, but I won't fault you for it, because you could be right and I could be wrong. You might throw some light my way if you study your Bible. So if you take the Bible and look up this trump and trumpet, actually study it, you'll find something quite amazing. Now, the word trumpet appears in the Bible 116 times. Have you read all 116 of them? Then why do you have an opinion on what the last trump is? If you're not bothered to read the Bible itself, then how do you know what the last trump is? Okay, let's look at the passage before we go into it. This is layered, this answer I'm giving you. You've already got the gist of it. If you want to go look at something else, you can. But if you want the proof, that's what follows, okay? Notice the context again. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound. Most people read that and think they just read that at the last trumpet. Oh, seventh trumpet, that's the last trumpet. It didn't say at the last trumpet. It didn't say that. It's not the last trumpet to ever sound. It said at the last trump. A trump and a trumpet are two different things. A trump is the noise that a trumpet makes. The trumpet is the instrument, usually a ram's horn about 4 feet long that the Jews used, maybe 3 feet long. I bought one when I was over in Israel. Don't know what happened to it. It made an awful noise when you blow it. Wake everybody in the house up. So these trumpets would, when Israel, if you go back and read those 16 times in the Old Testament that speaks of trumpets, you'll find that the trumpet called everyone to holy assemblies. It also called them to war. It called them when there was a tragedy that took place and that people need to be gathered. And they had different sounds that they made. Some sounds started off at a low and then went higher and higher and higher and went longer and longer. Some of them were a series of blasts, toot, 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 like that. They had different notes, just like a bugle would make different notes. And so there were different sounds, just like the military uses the bugle for charge or retreat, two totally different things, and you have to be able to hear the difference. So the Jews could hear the difference in the sound that the trumpets made and know what that signified. It was their communication. Could be heard all over the city or on a hillside, could be heard for several miles. Now, there was never occasion where just one toot went off on a horn. People, what was that? It was a series of blasts. It was repeated blast. It was something that sometimes would occur all day long with multiple trumpets. And so the sound that they made was a trump. Now look at the verse again. It sure throws a lot of light on it. At the last trump. That means that there will be a series of blasts on the trumpet, and when the last blast occurs, that's when the dead in Christ will rise. So it'll be a distinct sound that probably a Jew would understand that we wouldn't be familiar with. Those that are familiar with the different sounds would probably be able to properly interpret that sound. Now, let's read on. Last trump, for the trumpet shall sound. Trump and a trumpet, two different things. Okay, let's go to the Old Testament and look at just a few of the usages of trumpet. Exodus 19:19, and the voice of the trumpet sounded long and waxed louder and louder. Moses spake, and God answered him by a voice. So Moses blew the trumpet in order to get God's attention. At least he had his people blow the trumpet to get God's attention. And they got louder and louder and louder until it just filled the entire plain up below the mount. And then God spoke to Moses. Exodus 20:18. All the people saw the thunderings and the lightnings and the noise of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. When the people saw it, they removed and stood afar off. So here was quite a show with all of this noise and the trumpets sounding. Joshua 6. And ye shall compass the city. This is when they surrounded Jericho. All the men of war go around about the city once. Thus shall thou do 6 days, and 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets. So 7 was a common number for trumpets and priest blowing, and many things that God does are in sevens. Look at my series I did on numbers, the meaning of numbers. It's rather long, but I go into every number in the Bible. It's online free there too. Numbers in the Bible. Okay, the 7 priests bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram's horns. And the 7th day you shall compass the city 7 times, and the priests shall blow with the trumpets. So here are the priests blowing, 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 and finally it signifies the attack upon the city. And it shall come to pass, when they make a long blast with a ram's horn, that's the last blast that they'll make, And when you hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with a great shout, and the wall of the city shall fall down flat, and the people shall ascend up every man straight before him. So you see how the trumpet played an integral part in their conquering of the city. And it came to pass, when Joshua had spoken unto the people, the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of the ram's horns passed on before the Lord, and blew with the trumpets. And the ark of the covenant of the Lord followed them, and the armed men went before the priest that blew with the trumpets. And the rearward came after the ark, the priests going on and blowing with the trumpets. Therefore it is highly significant that whenever the rapture takes place, there'll be a trumpet sound. During the tribulation, at various points, when God brings a new judgment, there will be trumpet sounds. At the second coming of Christ, there will be trumpet sounds. And so with these series of blasts that always occur, it's at the last trump of the trumpet that the rapture takes place.
So I'm actually going to have to close out this video by talking to you guys, because I just got sent an article from my friend that it totally goes along with this video. And I made this video a couple days ago, but I'm just closing it out today and posting it today. But I'm going to call this part 1 to the last trump, or part 1 to the trumpet blast, or something, but it's part 1 because part 2 is coming now. I'm literally going to make it right now. So after I upload this video, look for the second part. It is going to be a good one. It's regarding an article, like I said, she just sent me, that relates to this, and you don't want to miss it. It's about the trumpet they were waiting to hear. So stay tuned for part 2. Okay, until next time, I'll talk to you again soon. God bless and shalom.